Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy May. Oh, you guys can believe it already. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in today because it's a big topic and there's a lot of things to talk about. And I want to make sure to get you everything that you need. I'm going to be sharing with you some tools. I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas. And most of all, I want to share with you that with this topic, the question that came through for me is, how do I deal with this grief? And so grief is a big topic. And for some people, they deal with it for years, if not a whole lifetime. And so I want to give this the time that it deserves. So first of all, I'm going to introduce myself and then we're going to jump right in. My name is Tammy Workman-Lopez. My company is Sparks Hope, or you can call me Coach TammyStar. And what I do is I come on here each week. You'll see that I have different programs and different things that I offer, but each week I'm bringing free support, free tools, free guidance that you can allow yourself to practice with, right? The idea is, whether you work with me or not, I want you to have support. I want you to be able to feel like you can take on your life and you can do things. And if you need help and you need support, great, that's what I'm here for. There's also other resources, other supports, other coaches, other therapists, people that could also help you. But you got to get started somewhere. Or you might have been doing this for your lifetime, right? I saw so many people, got so much support, so much help, personal development. Like, this has been a lifetime development for me. But there's different times and different coaches and different seasons, and just that new step. So whether it's your first step or whether it's your next step, getting that support and that connection that you need, right? Like, if I need help getting my car fixed, I don't worry about the fact that I don't know how to fix it. I know how to turn it on and get it there. I know how to do some basics. And that's all I need to know. I don't need to know how it works. The same with the plumbing in my house, the same with all these other things. So you're good at what you're good at. You don't need to be good at everything. That was my mistake. I used to think I had to be good at everything, but you don't. When I'm working with my clients and I'm coaching them, I'm asking them, how can they make those changes? What are some things they can do? What's been working? What's not been working? What are the challenges? What's coming up when that challenge comes up? And we get deeper and deeper and deeper to where we can clean that up. And at the same time, the as important thing is we're focusing on what's the future goal. So this isn't the goal to keep pecking at the past. The goal is, what is it that you want to create? And so with today's question, how can I deal with grief? The biggest thing I'm going to suggest moving forward is taking a look at, what do you want your life to look like? So even today, right now, in the midst of feeling grief, what do you want your life to look like? So you can have grief and still have joy. You can have grief and still find joy in your loved one that you're missing, or if you've lost a loved one and they're still alive, right? You have a disconnect and they're not talking to you anymore. Whatever it is that's going on that's causing that grief. And the biggest thing is losing a loved one, right? And so whether that loved one is to natural death, right, because of their age, whether that loved one is to an untimely death because they just got sick or there was an accident, right? Or because it's suicide. And some people, oh, that's so different, that one. No, they're all grief, they're all lost. We just have different ideas, different experiences, different beliefs. And also another piece is that there's so much shame and guilt that's tied to it, whether you're guilting yourself or the I should have said this, I should have spent more time, I should have done this. All of that guilt increases that grief. So first of all, we want to take a look at what's the real grief. Now, you might find that there's grief stacked in your life. It's important to take a look at any experience that's similar will resonate, right? Just like a guitar string. If you pluck a guitar string, you'll see that another guitar string across the room will vibrate. It'll hum that same thing. Body, the experience does the same. If you have a loss now, it's going to resonate across your lifetime of other losses that didn't get attention. People say time heals all wounds. They miss the biggest part. Nurturing, care, keeping it clean, all of those things along with time is what helps it to heal. Because guess what? If you ignore it and it gets festering or it gets, pussy, or if it could make the rest worse. You could lose a limb, right? No joke. You could die. And I'm not exaggerating, right? Like I've seen it happen. I've had family members it happens to, right? Because of diabetes. There were certain things they didn't take care of and it got into their blood system. So this stuff is real. And it works the same way with our emotions. If we are not allowing ourselves to keep that clean and kind of declutter any negative going on around it, it's going to fester. It's going to get sick. It's going to get stinky. And that's going to be in there while you're trying to live life, right? So think about it. If your hand is damaged, what can you do with it? You're limited. Now you can see it, so you're aware of it. But within our emotions, we can't quite see them, so we can't quite figure it out. That's why I do the work that I do, right? So the first step of being able to shift out of the grief is seeing, what is the grief? What are the buttons? What is this about? Yes, I lost my child, but am I also making myself feel really bad? Am I also guilting myself about something? Am I shaming myself about something? Am I upset with them about something? Am I upset with the doctors about something? Am I like, what else is in there? Additionally, some of us with grief see loss, death as like, wow, they're in heaven, they're with God. That feels really good. And others feel grief like, they've left me, I'm alone, I'll never see them again. How could they do that? How could they, right? And it could sound very different. Maybe there's no blame on them. Maybe it's just blame on you. I'm alone now. It's, if I had had that better relationship, if I had done this, if I would just do that, what's wrong with me? Right? And I close my eyes because I'm connecting to what that feels like. And as you connect to that, what does that feel like for you? Right? When I connect to it, my throat locks up. Right? When I'm feeling it, I notice there's a tension in my esophagus area, my chest, my diaphragm. That's where your body is holding it. I notice I don't breathe as well. I notice that all of my muscles are getting tighter. I notice that the pressure in my head is feeling like it's squeezing like a vice grip, right? And that's just me thinking about times when I've had grief and connecting to it. There's no real grief happening with one, but because I've experienced it so many times in life, from being a little kid all the way through till now, right? We experience natural things in life, but then we also have family who funnily drops in things. That's my sarcasm. I say we got to have fun, right? So I'd love for you, as you're watching this, let me know what areas of grief you feel like you've had to experience. And notice how, when you're connecting to them, what it is you're feeling. Where do you feel it in your body? What other thoughts come up? What else does it feel like it's connected to? Those are the steps you want to take initially with grief. Now, this is so much easier to do with support and with somebody asking you questions and kind of guiding you. So you don't have to do the work. You don't have to think it through. And the idea is not to relive it, right? I'm only touching into it so I can relate to what I'm talking about. But we can actually touch on it and be able to speak about it without a lot of pain and without a lot of struggle. But if we don't know how to do that, then doing this is too hard and too much, because now we're just building up this experience, and then what, right? So I don't want you to do this on your own. I want you to be able to get support, and whether it's with me or with someone else, these are just the steps that you would do with them, right? So being able to allow yourself to take a look at what are the thoughts. Now, this is something you can start to do by yourself. What are those thoughts? Guilting, shaming, should haves, could haves. I want you to write those down as the negative thoughts around your grief, right? Any area where you feel like that thought makes you feel worse, that's where you know it's a negative thought, even if you think it's true. Like, I can't believe they did that, or I can't believe they left me, or I can't believe I'm alone now. Whatever the thought is, even if it seems like a beautiful thought, like, oh, I'm so glad they're in heaven. But when you have that thought, you just ache and you feel like you're just dying inside, then there's something else tied to that. Then it's not actually bringing you joy and peace, it's actually bringing emotion. So then we get to take a look and see why, what's connected to that. And maybe the next thought is, well, because when I think about that, I just connect to how alone I am. I connect to, I'll never hear their voice again. I connect to, right? And if any of these things are bringing up emotions for you, it's okay. It just means you love that person. Doesn't mean there's anything bad or wrong with you. But if you find yourself stuck in this and repeating, you have to you don't have to. You could stay in it if you want to. But the suggestion, the recommendation would be get support. If it just happened, this is normal and natural. This is supposed to be there, right? But there's a way that it could be that it doesn't have to be so painful. It could be supportive and still joyful to where you feel also at peace in the midst of your grief. And I know this for a fact. I've done the work myself, right? Oh my gosh, I've had so much grief. It's not even funny. Like, I've had my innocence taken away. I've had my family taken away. I've had other foster families taken away. I've had my dreams taken away. I've had all those things. But I was able to learn how to shift, right? Because I was still carrying those things with me. We can still bring all of that with us. We think it's in the past. But if the past doesn't exist, where do you think it is? It's right here, happening, but we call it the past while we're tormenting ourselves with it. Again, it's not your fault. You don't mean to. It's just how you know how to do it. So when you're like, how do I get rid of this grief? It's killing me. This is some new understanding as to why, right? And I want to share a couple tools with you, and I want you to have them. Let's see here. So I'm going to share my screen. And this is a 3-level document. I created this to help you take a look at how to set boundaries with yourself, with your emotions, with others, as well as how to interpret your emotions as a guide. You're there to guide you. This grief that's there is telling you need something. It's telling you that you're experiencing loss. What can you do to help yourself still feel valued, right? It would be creating love and connection with that person that you've lost. It would be stepping into the beautiful memory, stepping into, I'm so glad that I could be there for you and you could be there for me, because there's people in this world who've had no one. I'm so glad that I'm grieving. It means I love you so much. I'm so glad that we had this time together, right? Also being able to take a look at all the other things I mentioned. What are our beliefs around death? And what are our beliefs around guilt and shame in this relationship? What are other experiences of grief that might be making this one feel so out of control? Right? So please do share in the comments. I want to make sure that I can give you added support. And also too, if this sounds like something that, yes, I definitely want to work on this because I can't do this myself. It's clearly obvious that it's just too heavy, and you don't have to do it by yourself. I did not get to where I am by myself. I've had dozens and dozens and hundreds of people that I've worked with along the way to get here, right? Starting with my biological family, then starting with my foster families and the judges and the therapists and the case managers, and and none of them were perfect. But I learned a little bit from everybody. I learned all of the things that I needed and wanted to learn to get me to where I'm at today. And so even though throughout that was a tremendous amount of loss and grief, it also helped me to be able to learn how to help others through that process and help myself as I continue to go through various processes in life. Because they're going to be here. They're going to continue to happen. And then the other part of this is how to allow yourself to set up a healthy relationship. So if you're feeling like there's areas in your relationship you're struggling, even with yourself, that relationship you get to have with you, then you'll be able to see that this will help. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Make it bigger. Now, I have this available for you. If it's something that you're interested, please do put in the comments. I want your setting boundaries document. I have it on Etsy, so I'll be able to send you the link, and you'll be able to get this for yourself, so you'll be able to have it, okay? I'm also now working with a company called Behavioral Essentials, and I've given this to them to be able to use. So that's why you'll see their branding on here as well. Okay. There's so much to this document. Right now, we're going to be going over the grief aspect. So you're going to notice as you're taking a look at grief, there's a lot of these things that come into play. And you might have heard this before. The other thing that I'm going to share with you is the levels of grief. We tend to think of grief as one thing, but grief is many things. So let me go ahead and pull this up for you. I'm going to share this with you as well. I'm going to make one that's a little clearer because this one's a little fuzzy, but you can see the stages of grief and you go through all of them. Look at the words: shock, numb, denial, emotional outbursts. Now, you might not have emotional outbursts. They may be emotional imploding, right? Going on inside your own head, no one knows, but it's still happening. Anger, things are not fair. Fear, searchings, like, why? Trying to figure stuff out. Disorganized, your mind just feels foggy. Feelings of panic, loneliness, guilt, isolation, depression. Re-entry troubles, meaning stepping back into troubles that are happening. New relationships, new strengths. So as you're continuing to move into this, you'll start to see, starting to feel better. Now, as you look over to this side, it doesn't work like this, guys. It would be nice if it did. It works like this all over the place. You go from shock to having hope, to going over to denial, to jumping down to anger, to feeling very disorganized, to feeling kind of depressed, to feeling kind of strong, back over to denial. Now I'm into helping others and practicing affirmations, feeling a little bit more hope, now down into fear, wondering why again, feeling disorganized again. So it's all over the place. Here's the thing of what I want to help you to get. As you're going through this process that we're talking about, you're able to break these down and see when they're happening. You're able to understand any of these that you're like, I don't like this behavior. Instead of pushing it away, we look at it to see what it means. And I'm going to jump back over here now. When we're able to see what's needed, then we're able to feel less frightened, less anxious, less overwhelmed, right? Less inadequate. We're able to allow that sadness, that grief, that detached, any of those other emotions that I just shared with you, we're able to go through them and see what's needed, helping yourself to see these emotions as a guide, right? And that's why that's one of the names of this document, one of the actions that it does. You'll see up here. This is going to help you set boundaries without being a a-hole. It's going to help you revive your relationship, starting with yourself. It's going to help you interpret your emotions as a guide. So you're seeing into yourself, right? Think about that intimacy. Into me, I see. And then as you're going through this, you'll also be able to understand emotions in general. So when someone else is having them, going through their grief, you're able to understand how to meet them. Not that you have to do anything about it, just able to meet them. And so that's also intimacy. Into you, I see. So let me know if you would like this document. I want you to have it. It's like, I'd have to look it up on Etsy. It's like $5, right? So it's super cheap. The idea is I want you to be able to be invested into this, to practice this, to see its value. And it's way worth more than $5, but I want every single person to have this, okay? That is the goal. Every single person to have this. So everyone's speaking the same language. Everyone understands why they're having these emotions. And I want to show you something. This is the last thing. So when we're experiencing grief, I'm going to share both of these with you at the same time. Okay. When you're experiencing any one of these emotions and it's not addressed, you're going to find yourself at the level of frustration. And what happens when you're frustrated? Your emotions escalate, your blood pressure escalates, any experience that you're having escalates, the brain fog escalates, the reactiveness escalates, or you might find that instead of escalating outward, it's happening inward, right? the experience of, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like I'm so crazy. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I'm so lost. I don't know. And it just gets bigger and bigger. So even if you're showing on the outside, like, hey, everything's fine. And inside you're going, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. It's still important to notice that that's what's happening, right? You might not show it, but that's still what's happening. Now, there's a book called The Secret Language of Feelings, and that's what this is based off of. The super cool thing to realize is if this is not handled, everything escalating, the body's natural response is it has to calm the heck down. So it depresses that stuff through any level of coping technique to make it stop. Now, coping techniques that are healthy or unhealthy. And you might find that some of them could be healthy, but you do them too much, so then they're no longer healthy. So for example, somebody who runs all the time, somebody who works all the time, somebody who's getting into a relationship just to avoid, right? So those things could be healthy, but they end up not being healthy, right? Eating is a healthy thing to do, but when we're doing it to avoid our emotions, no longer healthy. Now there's others where you just know it's unhealthy, like I'm shutting down, I'm going to bed when I don't need to, I am helping others all the time, I never focus on myself. So there's so many things that are like, oh, that's healthy. No, that's not healthy. I'm helping people that don't want my help and they feel like they're not good enough because I'm always pushing help onto them, right? So these are just some examples. And I want to share this with you because I want you to know this, right? Everybody gets to know this. I want you to help me on this mission to help everybody understand their emotions so they can feel safe with them. Now, here's what happens in this space of depressing it. We think if we're feeling depressed, that something's very wrong with us and we need to go to the doctor and we have to be on drugs, and it doesn't mean that. Now, if you have a chronic depression or a chemical imbalance, that's not what I'm talking about. However, you might notice that working on this helps that, because oftentimes we find ourselves in a chronic depression because we're not handling what we need to for ourselves. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's just a chemical experience. So I'm not talking about that. This can help that, but that also needs medication, or that also needs a certain balance of life and eating and exercise. And so I want to be clear that I'm not talking about clinical depression. Okay? I'm talking about just a normal experience of, I can't handle this, I'm shutting down. Okay, we're depressing it. When we're in this space of depression, it could look like shut down, super busy, bad habits, detached. And so in this moment, the reason it happens is because when the body and mind and emotions depresses it, I'm fine, I don't care, whatever, fuck off, right? It literally shuts it down. So that way there's a bit of time where we can start to think, right? Even if I do need to go lay down, I gotta lay down, I've gotta close my eyes. I need to allow my mind to decompress, my emotions to decompress, right? We don't have to call it depression, we can call it decompressing. But being able to notice, oh yeah, we are depressing this. And there's a state, if I stay here, I feel like I'm depressed all the time. So this is real important to pay attention to, because this can give so much freedom in understanding this. Because if I understand, I'm in this space because I was depressed about something I'm not handling. And so if I handle it, I no longer have to be here. Freedom, ease, peace of mind, emotions change. I no longer will feel anxiety if I handle what it is that has me feeling unsafe and has this situation not feeling okay. So if I handle that and I understand anxiety is from a heightened level of fear, oh, so what can I do to create a safer situation here? And I don't mean safe like you're going to get hurt. I mean safe like this doesn't feel okay. I don't know what to say. I feel like it's going to get worse. I feel like they're going to get mad at me. That's the unsafe I'm talking about. Or telling ourselves, what if this, what if that, what if this, those negative, that's fear. That's creating a, I don't know, what if that does happen, right? So that's creating fear. We don't understand that that's where that's coming from. Now I'm sharing that because oftentimes fear is mixed in with guilt. I'm sorry, with grieving. Stress is mixed in with grieving. Inadequacy is mixed in with grieving. Loneliness is mixed in with grieving. Guilt and shame is mixed in with grieving. Anger is mixed in with grieving. Now, the author uses the term bored, but disappointed makes more sense to me. If you're feeling any one of these, including grief, not handled, throws us into frustration, which throws us into shutdown, or super busy, or bad habits, or trying to cope. When what we can do is we could say, okay, really all I'm experiencing is grief, and I'm not going to make that wrong. I just lost my loved one. I've got to give myself time. However, in the process, you want to pay attention. Am I telling myself negative things like I can't be around other people? Am I isolating myself? Am I telling myself I did something wrong? Am I judging or projecting on myself? Am I stressing myself out like my feelings of guilt are bad? Not guilt, I keep saying guilt. That my feelings of grief are bad? Am I feeling what if or anxiety, like I should have done this? Why didn't I do that? What was wrong with me there? What about this? And that's not grief, guys. That's all this other stuff. But we don't realize we're collapsing it in with grief. So it's making grief feel so big. And it's not grief at all. So we want to be able to pull those things off of grief, clean grief off, and let you be able to have that grief, that innocent grief that says, I love and I miss this person. And I'm so glad that I love and I miss this person. And it feels innocent and it feels clean. And it doesn't have all this other stuff stacked on it. That's what I wanted to share with you about grief. That's how you can do it without it feeling so heavy. That's how you can do it and bring in joy. Joy that you had that relationship. That's how you can do it and still be like, I love my little baby. And I'm a good parent. And I'm a wonderful, fill in the blank. I'm doing a great job. I'm doing the best that I can. I did the best that I could. Even a little baby, right, that only made it in mom's body, didn't make it to be born, or was born and then had to go. If a mom could be like, I'm so glad that all that baby ever knew was my love, that's beautiful. Versus oftentimes the mom will blame herself or shame herself or guilt herself or step into a lot of anxiety and fear. Like, what did I do to make that happen? Which then there's the natural grief, that loving, connected grief that could have so much joy and sadness and natural sadness, versus guilt and shame and blame and guilt and stress and overwhelm and anxiety and panic and not good enough and inadequacies and disappointments and all of that stacked on them. It's important to bring this stuff, the work, the healing, the nurturing, the salve, so that way that can be released, so the grief is just the grief. I hope that makes sense. I'd love to hear back from you on how this is working out for you, how it is helping you understand, how you might be able to see, okay, I do need some support in this, and that's okay, right? Because you're not supposed to know how to do this stuff. I've been training to do this stuff. I've been doing this stuff. I'm 46. I've been doing this stuff since I was 17, right? Since I aged out of foster care and started getting into personal development, so I would not be the same kind of people my parents were. Not that I don't see that they didn't do the best that they could with the tools that they had. They were not great parents, and I didn't want to do that. And because of that, the blessing behind that is now I get to be here with you guys. So if it sounds interesting to you and it sounds like it could really help you, I'd love for you to reach out to me. My information is here, right? You can text, you can call, you can also go to my website, sparkshope.life. I think that's on here. Oh, it's part of my email there on the website. So sparkshope.life/book-online. You do not have to have your grief mixed in with all these other things. You do not have to feel lost. You do not have to almost feel like you're being punished Maybe you are, right? If you're going through all of this, there's an aspect of punishing yourself. You don't have to feel all of that. You get to be in the experience of grief, the natural, healthy grief that doesn't feel so much like it's choking you out, right? This isn't a wrestling show. It's life, and grief is okay. But when it's mixed with all this other stuff, it can feel like it'll take you down. So let's help to get this other stuff decluttered out of there, right? And it's not too difficult. It's not too hard. It feels like it is right now, but as we break it up and give you the tools that you need to know how to work with it, it feels easier and easier, not harder and harder. I promise. I've done it myself, and I've done it with hundreds of other clients who've been able to do this work as couples, to be able to do this work as father and child, mother and child, no matter what age, whether it's an adult child with an elderly parent or whether it's a young parent with a young child. You deserve to have that weight taken off. All right, you guys, bring it in. Big squishy hugs, right? I'm sorry you're going through this, but I'm glad you now know that it doesn't have to be so painful. And just know that sometimes we think that the pain connects us to our loved one, and there's ways to be connected to our loved one through so much joy and so much love and so much enlightenment on a much, much more spiritual level. That's so much bigger than a human suffering. That you can have that innocent grief with joy and connection. And you'll feel more in love with that loved one that you lost than what you're experiencing now. And you get to deserve that, right? Remind yourself, I deserve that, just like I would want that for somebody else. I deserve that for myself. I'm giving myself permission to have. All right, you guys, let me just double check and see if there's any questions that have come across. And why don't you go ahead and share this? Oh, there it is. Down at the right bottom, you'll see a share button. Go ahead and click that and let other people know what you learned today. Because there's so many people that are stuck in this grieving, and they're stuck for years or a lifetime. Let's help them step out of that. Okay, I went ahead and shared it as well to my story. So that way, if you guys want to find this, you'll also find it on my page. You'll also find it in my group. Let me see here. Yeah, there we go. So relief from anxiety and negative thinking. I'm sharing it into the group right now. The idea in that group is to be able to see that you can talk about various topics. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be reliving. We tend to think that we have to relive our pain. No. Instead, being able to see the pain and what it's there for and how it can help us. All of your emotions are good, every single one of them, right? We think negative is bad and we think positive is good. You need both. You need that negative and the positive to get that flow. But what happens is we have stacked so much crud on this by not looking at it. We're not allowed to look at it. We just keep stacking on it. Just shove it down. Instead, when you do this work, you clean it off and you just get clear on what is helpful of this negative, right? Like that list I shared with you. When I feel this, what do I need? Oh, I need that. Okay, so I'm giving myself that. So this stays clean all the time. And so the flow that you have within your thoughts, your emotions, your relationships, whether personal or business, you have that flow on a consistent level. So you're able to take on those goals. You're able to have those dreams. You're able to take on your life, even if you're experiencing grief, because you can have yourself the new experience of, I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to love that person so much that I can feel grief about it. I am so glad that that person was so loved that there's somebody here in this life that remembers that. That's thinking of joyful thoughts about them. That's thinking of the dumb memories of things that we did that we got to laugh at with each other. Or if it was just a little baby, I'm so glad that I could know that I nurtured you and loved you and took care of you. And if it's an older child who, there's experiences where we could say, why did this happen to you? You're so young. These, it's just terrible. Or we could say, wow, I'm so glad that you were blessed with this amount of years to be able to spend with you. I'm so glad it wasn't just this amount of time. I'm so glad it was this amount of time. I'm glad that we had this. And I'm glad now that I got to be here through all of it. So it's a new perspective, a new reframing that will help that grief feel light and loving and connected with your loved one versus burdened down with such grief that it's stacked with all these things. And it's not just grief about the loss of the loved one, it's grief about, that reminds me, that's grief about I'm alone, that's grief about God's not fair, that's grief about why does this happen, that's grief about heavy. And it actually blocks the relationship you're having with your loved one. Because that relationship doesn't stop just because they died. You still love them, they're still an energy. We know the human being, right, is a spiritual being, and there's still an energy when the body goes. So you're still connected to that life force, wherever it is they are. But you can block it with all of this unnecessary grief of unnecessary other things. And you're not even really connected to them, which adds more to that grief. And you don't need that. They don't need that. Keep that flow with them. All right, you guys, you take care of you. Know that you're loved. And this little squacky alarm over here is to remind me to invite you to Clubhouse. If you hop on over to Clubhouse, you'll actually be able to see, I'll actually pull it open for you right now. You'll be able to see myself and Miss Miriam and Miss Brenda are in Morning Mindset Reset. So hop on over there. We do share out of the book, what is it? Jesus is Calling. I can't find the book in a second. And we continue to go into shifting mindset, but on different topics. So you take care of you. Know that you're loved. Know that you're appreciated. All right, you guys, you take care. Have a beautifully blessed day, and I will see you next week. Let me know what questions or topics you'd like to talk about then. All right, ciao for now, guys.